This interview episode is brought to you by Tyree Off-Road. Lights for people that need to get shit done. Visit tyreeoffroad.com right now. Also brought to you by the Mid-America Off-Road Expo, presented by Warren Industries and brought to you by Muddy Buddies Jeep Club, is more than an event. It's a celebration of the off-road community. This high-energy expo is packed with top vendors, exciting demos, educational classes, and family-friendly fun. February 22nd and 23rd at the Roberts Center in Wilmington, Ohio, just 45 minutes north of Cincinnati. Heidi ho, boys and girls. It's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview, and today we're going to be talking with Rob. Now, if you go way back, because I think we are at 1200 and something, 1226 at the time of the recording of this episodes. You were last on for the first time, and the last time was episode 713. I mean, we're doing 5 episodes a week now, so it hadn't been that long, but still, it's been a while back. And I think you told me before we got started, a lot of things have changed at Element Fire. So Rob is a co-founder of Element Fire Extinguishers and an avid car guy. His main interest is in classic car restoration and road racing, and has recently discovered the off-roading and Jeep life, mainly through the wonderful communities he has been exposed to through Element Fire. So Rob, you were telling me before we got started, you actually have somebody on staff now that has a Jeep. So you've been introduced to this thing directly.
Definitely. We have Paul is our head of director of sales and marketing, and he's an avid Jeep guy. He's owned a number of them in his life, and recently got himself into a Jeep Wrangler. So looking out the window of my office, I got a nice clear view of the headlights of a Jeep every day. And we were talking back and forth a little bit about the time. Again, I believe it was probably around the 90s where they went to the rectangular headlights.
Right.
And how that was a pretty controversial time in Jeep history.
It was.
And now they've gone back to the round. And it's just such an iconic look. The grill placement and everything, those oval openings on the front of the grills, just such an iconic look.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a wonderful community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it's you say avid Jeeper. The whole Jeep community is a little scary. They're so passionate about Jeeps, and at the same time, we can be very cutting about Jeeps that we don't consider Jeeps but have the Jeep name on them. Have you been introduced to that?
No, but please tell me more.
Yeah, so the Wranglers are definitely Jeeps. The Gladiators, depending on who you talk to, are definitely Jeeps. But like the Renegade, the Compass, those really all the Jeeps that have IFS and not a solid front axle are not really considered by the true Jeepers as being real Jeeps. They're commuter vehicles. They're not really the thing that you take off road.
We have that a little bit in the classic and the exotic car world as well. I guess what they call badge engineering. Yes. They grab the badge. I guess probably a good example of it would be the Ford Mustang Mach-E. They turn an SUV electric and they throw a Mustang badge on it. Like, guys, call it something else. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Don't taint the name of my vehicle. Yeah, it's but they do that. I mean, they have to do that to make money, and they make profits that way. And we want them to stay in business so they can keep providing us parts, because we keep breaking them. All right, so Element Fire Extinguishers, for the people that don't know what this is, I mean, they think fire extinguisher. Yeah, I know what a fire extinguisher is. It's a tank. It's kind of heavy, depending on the size, and we have to tie them down very very vigorously in the Jeep so they don't become missiles and hit us in the back of the head when we're off road. And this is one of the things that I thought was really really cool about the Element Fire Extinguishers, is because it's not heavy, it's not big, and if it hits you in the back of the head, you might go, well, what was that? Not wake up in the hospital, if you do wake up at all. So tell us a little bit about Element Fire Extinguishers for the folks that haven't listened to episode 713, and they don't know what we're talking about here. Oh, and I will mention this for you guys that are following along. You can go to elementfire.com and see all about what Rob's going to talk to us about.
So most people are familiar with the traditional fire bottle. Mm-hmm. We'll use a 5-pound fire bottle as an example. So the traditional bottle, 5-pound fire bottle, the 5 pound is actually the charge weight. The actual bottle itself with the powder and everything in it is about 7.5, 8 pounds. So you're talking about 7.5, 8 pound cylinder of compressed gas. And in order to put the fire out, it does so in one of a handful of ways. Probably the most common, popular way is that it spits out a powder of some kind. And that powder is like a blanket that goes on top of the fire, suffocates it, and makes it go out. Obviously, the downside with that kind of a blanket is that it makes a whole bunch of mess. The powder can be very corrosive, and also carrying around a compressed gas cylinder has certain inherent dangers associated with it. Even in a heavy-duty off-roading environment, it's not at all uncommon that you hit a big bump, it jars the head assembly of it. There's enough inertia there to break the head assembly off, and the extinguisher will discharge by itself. So, as you can imagine, there's a lot of inherent design limitations on the traditional extinguisher. Element's a little bit different. Instead of being a compressed gas cylinder, it looks a bit like a road flare. Let me actually grab one that I have sitting next to me. It's in a mount at the moment. If we have this in the shot of the camera, you can see that it is about 11.5 inches tall, just under an inch in diameter, weighs about 0.75 pounds. The exact dimensions are on our website at the moment. And instead of being a compressed gas cylinder, what it is it's a solid chemical that's inside. And in order to deploy it, you remove the cap, which exposes a little chemical tip. And in the base, there's a striker. You pull the two of them out, you scratch the tip together, starts a chemical reaction, and the gas that comes out will chemically interrupt the fire. It does not rob breathing oxygen, and it doesn't make any kind of a mess. The other cool thing is that it has no service life. These never expire. They never require maintenance. They're not affected by extremes of humidity, vibration. So perfect for all kinds of off-road environments. They're rated for all major fire classes. And also the discharge time. With a regular extinguisher, you pull the pin, squeeze the trigger, you get about 9 to 11 seconds of discharge time. With this, you're getting 50 to 60 seconds of discharge time. So it's a lot more time in order to approach and fight a fire.
Now, once you start it, it's kind of well, I guess with a traditional fire extinguisher, the tank, I think that you can regulate the output, so you can turn it on and off. Once you start this one going, it's going for that 50 seconds, right?
Correct. With a regular extinguisher, yes, you can throttle it, you can press it, but what's important to realize is that as soon as you've activated for the first time, even if it's just a tiny little squirt, you've now compromised the seals on it, meaning you can't put it back on the shelf and expect it to work. It'll lose its pressure within a few days.
Right.
But you're correct. One-time use, you start Element up, it'll run its full course, and afterwards you need to replace it.
But the 50 seconds also gives you time to move around, and maybe some of the stuff that you would do with a canister, a tank, you could turn it off and move around, get a better angle and stuff. 50 seconds, you got plenty of time to move around and get the extinguishing bit where it needs to be. Yeah,
with a traditional extinguisher, as I said, you have 9 to 11 seconds. Mm-hmm. If you actually deploy one full up, you'll notice that at around the 6-second mark, it starts to lose steam.
Oh, no.
And then it starts going down and down, and then it stops. So you have to remember that 6 seconds, you lose 3 or 4 seconds just getting your bearings. I mean, most people, they haven't used one before.
It's like fire. Yeah, exactly.
And that really brings, I guess, an interesting point of discussion up, and that is that most people, when it comes to firefighting, and we've learned this with time, and we try to tailor our message that people understand. Most people have this crazy idea of the kind of fire they're going to take on with a fire extinguisher. We always joke around that, people think that, taking on a fire is a bit like getting into a fist fight with somebody.
Right.
You see it on TV and you're exchanging blows, going back and forth. And it's all very tactical. The reality is that there's panic involved. There's time to get your bearings. And the reality is that the types of fire that any kind of handheld extinguisher, not just Element, any extinguisher is designed for, is for something about the size of a small trash can. what's called an incipient stage fire, when it's in its growth stage. It starting to grow. That's almost 90+% of the fires that you get. But the ones that people imagine are the last 5%, which is, you're driving along, an oil line breaks, the thing bursts into flames, there's fire licking out of the wheel wells, and that's a situation where you call your insurance company.
Yeah.
But most fires, they're little incipient ones. If you can stop them early, that's the way to do it. But once a fire starts to really grow and take hold, the kind of fire that most people have this imagination of taking on, that's well beyond what a handheld extinguisher is designed for.
We'll call them the Hollywood fires.
The Hollywood fires, yeah. We always say something out of a Michael Bay film.
Yes. Well, that's really interesting. And now I know that you guys have faced some criticism, at least back when we had done the original interview with you guys. There were some videos out about people kind of poo-pooing the Element Fire as not being a viable way to put out fires. They did these examples of a fire and using the Element Fire to put it out. Are you familiar with any of those videos?
Absolutely. In fact, actually, in most instances, we were able to get in front of or speak to the people that were involved in doing these online tests. And I can say that in every single instance, we were very polite about it. We explained, hey, what was your thought process? What did you do? And all that stuff. And in every instance, people are like, yeah, I mean, we had no planning of any kind. And it's like, do you realize that, what you're doing goes against a lot of the stuff that we publish to say that you shouldn't be doing? I'll give you an example. One of the most common types of fires that people will try to put out, and we explicitly say that it is not the kind of fire that we rate ourselves for, is what's known as a live ember fire. Perfect examples of fire, campfire. And the reason being is that Element falls under a family of extinguishers, which are gaseous extinguishers. I mean, some do it by depositing something onto the fire, whether it be water or powder. Mm-hmm. And then there's an entire family of extinguishers, which is like CO2, halon, element, and all that stuff that rely on being able to make like a cloud of containment around the fire with a gas. And that gas robs the fire of oxygen and allows the fire to go out. Now, if you are out in a field outdoors and you're trying to put out a fire that is of a live ember variety, you can put it out with a gaseous type extinguisher. The problem is that the embers still contain temperature.
Sure. So
you've put the fire out, and sometimes almost instantaneously a little breeze comes by and creates a fresh entrance of oxygen, and it reignites the hot embers. So that's a disadvantageous situation. That's a situation where Element is probably as weak as it can be. What's really advantageous about a gaseous extinguisher is when you don't have a direct line of sight to the fire, the back of a dashboard, an engine bay with nooks and crannies and all that kind of stuff, where you don't have to rely on the depositing of a powder or a liquid onto a particular type of fire. Reality is that there is a situation, pretty well, you can get any extinguisher of any kind to look like an absolute hero or a zero, depending on the circumstances of the fire. Mm-hmm. One of the things that kind of happens with Element is because Element is so incredibly different in the way it fights fires, and you present it as such, you say, look, this has got all these new advantages and all of that kind of stuff. People get this idea in their head that it solves all problems. New technology solves all problems.
Right.
And that's not true. Element gives you a lot of great advantages over a traditional extinguisher, but it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you can tackle any kind of fire that you couldn't have imagined before. And that's one of the things, is trying to set really good, realistic expectations with our customers and to have them understand what a handheld extinguisher is all about. And so what we'll do is we'll publish a video and people say, oh, that's great. We'll show it on a real fire. that is a real fire. A car that's half burning.
Did you see the flames? That was the fire part.
Yeah, a car that's half burning is not an example. There's a funny video out there, actually. I'm trying to remember the two people involved. I know it was Jennifer Aniston. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. And it was at an award show. And if you Google like Jennifer Aniston fire extinguisher or something like that, they're at this award show. They light a small trash can on fire. And she shows up with quite a large extinguisher, puts it out, it flares back up again. Puts it out, flares back up. This is not, Hollywood special effect or anything like that. It was just a situation that the extinguisher didn't quite do what it needed to in that environment.
Right.
The reality is that that extinguisher rated for that fire and that should have blown it out super, super easy. But no two fires are the same, and there's just, unfortunately, there are some situations where even the best prepared person with whatever extinguisher they have are not going to be able to tackle the situation. That's, we're doing a numbers game. We try to get most of the fires. We can't realistically get all of them.
Yeah. I just want to interject here real quick.
Sure.
I think it would have been a lot funnier bit if Jimmy Fallon had been on fire and he kept relighting, going back up in flames. Call me Jimmy. I got other ideas for you.
Actually, it's an interesting story. We had a customer contact us, sent us photos and everything, and we haven't used it as a case scenario in any of our marketing materials because it's such an odd situation.
Right.
It was a situation where he stopped at a brush fire at the side of the road, and it happened to be a lot larger than we're rated for.
I was going to say, how many elements did he have with him at the time?
Look, he had one, but he was a super well-trained firefighter.
Uh-huh.
It was, the conditions were just right. And it was a situation that made our extinguisher look much better than it is. But we would never use that for our marketing because we don't think that is a realistic expectation.
Right.
And just because one super trained guy was able to do it under just the right conditions, we want to set realistic expectations for our customers.
I'm surprised it worked out. I mean, brush fire, you think something big. It doesn't have to be multiple acres, but just a small brush fire is relatively large.
He sent us photos. It was an area the size of a few cars.
So I'm having flashbacks of no pun intended of the Backflash, the movie where it turned out that the guy not teaser alert. I'm going to give you the premise of the movie is
a spoiler alert. Yes.
A spoiler alert. Yeah. It was actually a fireman setting the fires. So if he took pictures of it, I wonder if he set the fires so he could just simply get you guys to be interested. It wasn't Kurt Russell, was it?
Is that the movie? I believe that's the movie Backdraft, isn't it?
Backdraft. Thank you.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh, that should be on that. You should have that at your office on 24/7. All the fire movies. That's really cool, and it worked out really well. And so let me ask you a couple of questions for the folks out there. Some of the stuff you said made me think it is not a good fire extinguisher for some type of fires. I know that not to be true, but I can see how that would be a question. But I'm fully okay to tell people that there are certain fires that this is not well suited for. And again, a live ember fire, like a wood fire. And we have even adjusted, I guess, since we've had our interview, we've adjusted our marketing materials to be even more transparent on that. Now it says everywhere, not for live ember fires. Mm-hmm. Because we don't think that it is the most honest thing to say that it's good for a campfire, for instance. Right. No, I think water and dirt is your best thing for a campfire. And I don't know if I know what I'm talking about.
No, you're absolutely right. And in fact, at a campfire, the best thing you can possibly put on is water. You use that same water on an oil fire, and you got a terrible mess on your hands.
Exactly. And that's kind of the direction I was going with this. The Element Fire is fine for Jeep fires, because there's no embers involved. This thing you mentioned, it works a different way than a material or a liquid type fire extinguisher. It breaks down not the molecular bond, but it stops the is it the molecular level, the actual breaking? Like you mentioned halon. I know halon doesn't actually do anything to the fire except stop it from combusting in the air.
So we'll get a little technical here, but
okay.
I'm not a scientist. We'll keep this simple. Essentially, in order for a fire to happen, they have what I guess was called the fire triangle. You need oxygen, a fuel, and a heat source. And there's a bond that takes place between those items. If you can somehow break that bond, the fire goes out. And in the case of Element, what it does is when you strike it, what comes out is what's known as a potassium aerosol salt. And again, without getting too geeky about this, the chemical that comes out will attach itself to oxygen molecules that are in the area. Those oxygen molecules no longer stick to the chain of combustion. So you can still breathe the oxygen safely because with halon, it actually poisons the oxygen that you have there. So you can safely breathe the oxygen, but that oxygen no longer sticks to the chain of combustion. And the example that we use for people is imagine a rubber tire, that sticks to asphalt perfectly well. But if you put a layer of ice between the tire and the rubber, the same rubber tire no longer sticks to the asphalt below. And it's essentially what you're doing. And that process has a natural biodegrade time of around 20 minutes. Around 20 minutes, the entire process biodegrades away and the oxygen returns to its natural state.
That's interesting. So when you put out a fire, it's probably not going to relight itself because of the chemical bond that you're talking about.
Yes, the only way in which it can relight itself is if new oxygen can be introduced that would cause it to start up again. But in most instances, particularly with growth stage fires, there isn't enough inherent heat to cause a reignition. Mm-hmm. And by the time that the flame turns out, the surface temperature of whatever's burning drops sufficiently that you don't run into a problem with reignition. The exception being live embers like wood.
Right.
Which is why, because what happens is when they do the testing for these extinguishers, it's done in a laboratory environment under very specific conditions. And it includes what's called a crib test. And a crib is like a little wooden box. And it's done indoors, so there's no wind. So, yes, we have passed the test that it will put wood out. And it's given us a certification saying that we can put wood out. But again, we don't find it to be fully on board, even though we have the certification that says so, to openly advertise that you're good for live ember fires like wood.
So, and I think we already stated this, a live ember fire, you would use a standard fire extinguisher or the water? Could you use a standard fire extinguisher?
The best thing you could use is water for two reasons. Water will cover the fire so that it can't get oxygen, but more importantly, reduces the temperature of the embers below its burning point.
Yeah.
A powder extinguisher will also work well, but it'll make a big mess. And it achieves it by coating the embers in a way that if new oxygen comes in, it cannot reignite.
Right. So, and you mentioned oil. You add oil to the mix, and now the water is not going to work. It's just going to spread the fire around. The point I'm getting to here is the Element Fire is good for vehicle fires, and would it also be good for kitchen fires, or would it also be good for an oil fire in a vehicle?
Well, it's great that you bring that up because one of the neat things about it is because it's not a compressed gas cylinder, the discharge that comes out of the tip is not pressurized. So the non-pressurized nature means that the most common type of fire at home is a kitchen oil pan fire. So you have a pan on the stove, it reaches a flash temperature, catches on fire.
Right.
And if you use a regular extinguisher on those, the powerful discharge that comes out of a regular extinguisher will physically blow the oil out of the pan and create a large fireball. That's why house-rated extinguishers are of a different color. They're normally white in color. And what they do is they change the shape of the nozzle of it, and they do a few other things to try to reduce the amount of pressure that comes out in order to avoid blowing loose trash or liquid fires out of the pan.
Mm-hmm.
With Element, because there's no thrust that comes out of it, it has a rating for K, which is kitchen oils and fats, and it will not blow the fire out of the pan.
So my take on the Element Fire is it's not a perfect solution, but it's a damn better perfect solution than most everything else that's out there. It is almost a universal fire extinguisher that you can use in a vehicle, you can use in your home. And the beauty thing is, and you mentioned this earlier, it doesn't expire. It's not like it loses pressure. It's not like it has to be, you have to replace a unused fire extinguisher. And those fire extinguishers are generally kind of expensive just to throw away.
Well, what happens is that, and you're right, when we say that on a balance of performance, the Element represents a very, very compelling option. Again, I can get any extinguisher, including Element, create an environment where it looks amazing, and also create an environment where it doesn't look that good.
Right.
But overall, it's a very compelling option. On top of that, there's an expression in photography that's the best camera is the one that you have.
Yes.
And if you suddenly have an extinguisher that allows you to have access to an extinguisher where previously it was unimagined, we've done very, very well in the motorcycle community.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a much smaller option than trying to
carry a bottle around in a motorcycle.
Exactly, yeah.
This fits into a saddlebag or small side pouch. I'm in the classic car community. I have old little Italian cars that have tiny compartments. Putting it in the trunk is a complete waste of time. By the time you get to the trunk, pull it out, it's got to be in the driver's compartment. So it fits in the door pocket easily. You can fit in the glove box. It's small enough to fit in the glove box of a modern Ferrari. And that's a small glove box.
Yeah.
Again, not possible with a regular extinguisher. So what we tell a lot of people is that it puts in your hand firefighting capabilities when it was otherwise not possible or not practical.
Right. And as far as like if somebody wanted to mount one of these things, you were talking about having it in the trunk. Sometimes I think it can be difficult, even with a quick release mechanism with one of the bottles like are on the roll bars in the Jeeps. The Element Fire, I would think that maybe you guys have a mounting solution for that. But I was thinking even just one of those Maglite things might work. And then it's not something you have to worry about it coming out of there. You can just grab it and pop it and go.
So a few things. I mean, first of all, Element on its own is dimensionally very, very stable. The insides of it are very stable. So chucking it in a door pocket, a glove box is no problem.
Oh, yeah, under the seat or
under the seat or anything like that. Beyond that, though, one of the things that's changed a lot since the last time that we talked is that we've expanded our mounting options considerably.
Oh, good.
So one of the popular mounts that we have, I have it in my hand right here, is this is the mount that we've had for the E50. This is a roll bar mount. And very, very popular in motorsports applications, whatever have you. And perfect. This, which is brand new, it actually launched just recently, in the last week or so, is the one for the E100 mount. When you buy an Element extinguisher, you do get a plastic mounting clip with it. And beyond having roll bar mounts for various vehicles, we've also come up with this, which is what we call our tactical mount. And really neat as well, Velcro.
Oh, yeah.
You put it in there. It has hoops on the back. There's the possibility. We also sell some Velcro straps. You can put it onto large diameter roll bars. You can put it onto your belt, used by a lot of police forces, special forces for use. Also doubles nicely as a baton.
Yeah.
in the event
I was
of an emergency.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
And we're really proud to say though that we went out of our way to make sure that the case it's made in the United States. And from a supplier standpoint, I guess we haven't talked about it yet. I mean, Element is designed and manufactured entirely in Italy. It's an Italian design patent. But for an accessory standpoint, we have gone to both Canada and the United States as a place of manufacture.
Very nice. Very nice. So I'm really glad you added those features because digging around for under the seat, you'll probably find all the zombie fries before you get the Element Fire in time. But if it's mounted on something, even to the side of the seat, that'll be really good. Also, too, you know how I don't know if you know this or not. Jeepers love stickers. Are you guys doing Element Fire stickers? Because somebody's going to see that on their bar and they're going to say, what the hell is that thing? And
it's funny that you say that.
Here's a sticker.
And as we are talking right now, within the next 48 hours, we're launching something that nobody knows about, but why don't I tell you now?
Perfect.
And that is that together with the roll bar mount, we are putting together what's called the Racers Bundle. And the Racers Bundle gives you an extinguisher, a roll bar mount, but it also gives you, as I happen to have here, this sheet of stickers. And these stickers are all correct to the racing standards. So if you're building a racing vehicle or something like that, where you can have the electrical cutoff, the location of your toe points on the vehicle, all of that. We have a few standardized fire extinguisher decals, ones that say Element, and a cool one that says, warning, motor racing should be avoided if you don't want to be awesome. That'll be part of our sticker pack, and that'll be included in what's be known as the Racers Bundle.
Well, you guys missed King of the Hammers. This would have been perfect for King of the Hammers.
Well, we've been a little busy. What's kept us a little occupied is that we have acquired a new building that we're moving our offices to. That building is being built out, and we're just a couple of weeks away from moving. It's a really exciting time for us. Much bigger facility, a very nice office for the people that make up our team over here. And really looking forward to moving there in the next few weeks.
Oh, I bet. It's always fun. It's a pain in the ass to move, but it's also fun. You know, whenever you have the nice settings, everything's really clean and fancy. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so speaking of King of the Hammers, you've been to King of the Hammers recently, or not recently, not this time, I don't think, but you've been to King of the Hammers. What did you think?
I did. Well, so King of the Hammers was my first off-road event. Remember, I come from the road racing world, the European snobs with fancy sports cars. And so it was my first time doing the off-road thing. And I got to tell you, it was wonderful. I had the opportunity to go to King of the Hammers I've got to get my years correct here. It was 2023 that I went to King of the Hammers, I guess 2 years ago. We were supporting a few of the racers in King of the Hammers, which was really, really cool. And I had the opportunity to really see it sort of, I'll call it behind the scenes. Amazing. As I was telling you off camera, I showed up completely inappropriately dressed and inappropriately vehicled for it. I showed up with a Mercedes station wagon and slacks and a jacket and all that stuff. Couldn't have been further away from where I should have been, but I had an absolute blast. Some very, very kind people took me in, showed me around, and it was really, really entertaining.
So did you learn anything for Element Fire as far as something because of seeing that environment that you had not thought of, or maybe incorporated in later things for the Element Fire?
Well, one of the things I can say is that we had the opportunity to just to see how rough and tumble the environment is. Now, Before King of the Hammers, we had been involved with a few cars that had competed at the NORA 500 and the NORA 1000. So our roll bar mount actually did the full NORA 1000, won its class. In fact, we were supporting the Roth Sport Porsches over there. Mm-hmm. So we knew that the durability was there. We knew that we were good that way. But it's another thing to see it. When you really see it, you see how extreme it is. The sheer amount of abuse that these vehicles take. And also one thing that's really cool to see is the will of the people that are involved. I know one of the vehicles that we were involved with, they went through engine issues over the course of the week, and it was a question of, drive to Arizona, pick up another engine, put one in, and the camaraderie that you see in racing, the will to do it, to move forwards is always inspiring.
Mm-hmm. So, and I understand, I don't know if you sponsored some racers or something, but I know money can always overcome adversity. But did you have anybody saying, I need a fire extinguisher. I don't need a stick that blows gas. Did you have any issues getting people to run the Element Fire out there at King of the Hammers?
Not really. What had happened was there was a situation where the one of the people that we were involved with introduced it to the organizers, and the rules as they were written is that the vehicle has to carry 2 fire extinguishers on it. And they presented us the option of saying, "Hey, do you guys want to sort of have the rules changed so that you guys can carry elements?" And we said yes, but we don't want the rules to change that people only carry element. In the same way that I told you before that every extinguisher can look really good in some circumstances and really bad in others, we didn't want the rules to be any different than being one of the extinguishers can be element.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And that way people could have both of them on there. It became a very, very popular option, and it was cool that they did that.
So, and I just want to ask this because I don't want anybody out there thinking, well, it sounded good until I need to have both. You do not need to have both for your Jeep. You can, of course, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, but an Element Fire should be sufficient to put out most fires that happen to Jeeps. I mean, fully engulfed, we already established that it's not going to put that one out, but any kind of small engine fire, oil fire, fuel fire that's small in its starting stages, electrical fire that's behind the dash, I think you mentioned behind the dash type situations, you don't need to have more than one fire extinguisher.
No.
The Element Fire is all you need.
Correct. And we even had a situation where a customer sent us some video because it was a person that does a lot of filming, and so they had cameras rolling, and they were doing some rock climbing. And I'm fairly sure that we have this video on our website, but they were doing some rock climbing. Something broke under the vehicle, and I believe they discharged 3 regular canister extinguishers before somebody threw an element in there, and the element was still burning. And that was a perfect example of that. A powder extinguisher requires a direct line of sight to the fire.
Right.
And this particular one, the fire kept burning. And someone was able to just thrust their hand underneath, create that cloud of containment with the element, and put the fire out. Because the thing is with the fire is, knocking it down doesn't help you. It's either out or it's on.
It does gives you hope.
That's right. And it was a really cool piece of footage that they were able to put out this fire on the trail where some traditional extinguishers had already failed at it. We even had a video from a road racing guy with a Ford Mustang, which was an almost identical situation. A fire, tight, difficult to get to area near the back. We have the footage of regular extinguishers not being able to put it out, and then putting an element near it and being able to put the fire out that way.
Very cool. So have you guys thought about, and you do racing and stuff, so you probably have you guys thought about making the Element Fire something you could stick under the hood and then have it remotely activate and basically fill the under hood with this gas and knock the fire out, so you don't have to grab it? Probably more for a racing application, but there's probably some nervous Nellies out there that would like it too.
Well, so here's the interesting thing is, as it happens, we're involved right now with a pilot project in Europe that is involving buses and a remote discharge system in a bus. The challenge that exists with a remote discharge system is that you now are introducing electrics to it. And one of the beauty things about Element is the fact that it is free of electronics or batteries or wires or anything like that.
Right.
So that is one of the sort of the competing considerations.
Yeah. Well, fires have a tendency to eat through the electronics too, so I can see why you'd be concerned.
The other one is, let's assume that you have, because we've experimented with like a puck style system that you put one under the dash or something, in the engine compartment or something like that.
Right.
And again, the issue that exists there is that you're relying on flame to activate it. And, you can have a tiny little fire burning over here and your puck's way over there.
Right.
And by the time the fire gets to over there, the fire is so big that it's beyond the capabilities of the puck. So you run into a really tricky situation where it's very hard to make an underhood system that can be reliably deployed, or that can kind of live on its own to deploy itself should something happen.
Yeah. Just a thought, because I really like the idea of pulling a T handle and and you don't even have to worry about getting the multi-point harness off and getting the fire extinguisher out and all the rest of those things. So you sell these things, so I think the answer is going to be more than one, but maybe not. How many Element Fires would you recommend that a Jeeper carry?
Well, so the interesting thing is that when you start presenting somebody the element thing, you explain it to them, there's always immediate comprehension. They understand the value of it, they understand the need for it, and then they kind of stop and they look and they start thinking about all of the various places where they can use one of these.
Yes.
Because it's not just about the Jeeper community. You have, you have your Jeep, you have your garage, you have your trailer, boat.
Oh, don't forget about the wife's vehicle, because it may not be a Jeep. She needs one too, right?
So one of the questions that occasionally happens is people ask us, well, is it good for my kitchen? Is it good for this? Is it good for that? And the answer that we have is the fire doesn't play favorites.
Right.
So to, answer your original question, someone who owns a Jeep and only wants it for their Jeep really only needs one. But very, very few customers buy one, because they just decide, okay, this is the time when I'm going to do it. I'll equip my home or.
And you don't have to worry about that investment expiring.
Right.
Which is a big deal to me.
And beyond that as well is that in a traditional extinguisher, you get something that's called compaction. And you can imagine you have the extinguisher, it's like a bottle, and inside there's a powder, and you're driving along, and as you're driving along, it's shaking around a little bit. And you have hot and cold cycles, and you get condensation inside of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And so your little bottle is turned into a little cement mixer right now. And you get just a bit of condensation on the inside, which is natural, with a bit of shaking. It's not at all uncommon that you have one that the gauge reads beautifully on it, but inside is a solid clump of powder that's been, as we say, compacted, mm-hmm. and it won't discharge. We talk about the off-road community. There was, I found out about this after the fact. There was these guys from the off-road community. They were an Ultra 4 competitor, right? And he's a California firefighter. And he grabbed a whole pile of these. Now, the only thing is that the YouTube video is like 40-something minutes long. A lot of people don't want to watch a 40-something minute long video. Right. But he went out and he created, I think it was 6 or 7 different types of fires. And he tackled each one of them with an element. And eventually he reached a point where he was like, and they all went out, because what was neat about it is that they were all very realistic scenarios that you would expect in a Jeep community. Like, as an example, he grabbed a piece of exhaust pipe, he wrapped it in exhaust wrap, he put transmission fluid on it, he heated it with a blowtorch until it reached an ignition point. Right. So a realistic kind of situation, and put it out that way. Other tests like pans of fire and other things. And then at one stage, and this is kind of funny the way it happened, he's like, I'm going to try a regular extinguisher. So he goes, pulls one off the shelf, pulls the pin, presses it, and just, it was the extinguisher.
I'm sorry, honey, this has never happened to me before.
I believe he made a joke that was similar as well.
Oh, okay.
But so that got me thinking a little bit, and I started doing a bit more research. I started looking into it, and I was astounded at the failure rate of traditional extinguishers. Mm-hmm. Their failure numbers operate into the, multiple percentage points. And when you think of hundreds of thousands of extinguishers, that's a pretty, when you're talking 6-7% failure rate.
That's scary. That's scary. Yeah. When you have a fire, you need it to work.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, one of the challenges that we have is, you come along with it. You come along with a new product, and people are expecting to solve all of the problems of the world. And, mm-hmm. I guess it's a little bit like Tesla's. Tesla's catch fire. But I don't think they catch fire any more than any other electric vehicle.
Would Element Fire work for a Tesla fire?
Well, it's good that you bring that up because so there are two types of electrical fires, and this is worthy of speaking to. Electrically, sometimes you have something that arcs, starts a little fire. Normally, an electrical fire involves the burning of some type of a solid due to an electrical arc.
Yeah, the wire.
So you have
usually.
a little arc, and maybe the casing of the wire starts to burn, and it burns an assembly, and then it kind of as it's a solid fire, if you will, a solid combustible.
Right.
So we get the question a long time: is it very, very often? Does it work like on a Tesla fire or something like that? What happens in a Tesla fire or in a lithium battery fire is the nuclear example of a fire.
Oh yeah.
And it's what's called a runaway, a chemical reaction fire. If you look into this at all, most fire trucks can't handle a Tesla fire.
Yeah. When those lithium ion batteries go.
Tens of thousands of gallons onto the fire because the only way to do it is to cool it. The fire will burn in the absence of oxygen and self-oxidize it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what they do is they have to quarantine the car for 7 days.
Oh my goodness.
It's not uncommon that 3 or 4 days later, sitting in the middle of a field, the car catches fire again, all by itself. It's something that it's a real challenge for the firefighters. There is no extinguisher in the world that comes anywhere close to taking on an electrical car fire. And it is, I mean, literally, it's like trying to use a garden hose on a nuclear reactor.
Right.
It's in its own world. The firefighters themselves, with full fire trucks, training equipment, and a fire hydrant, struggle to just contain them, let alone put them out.
Yeah, those are the ones they bring the little chairs and they just sit there and to have a chat.
Sometimes just better
watch it burn.
Let it burn out.
Yeah.
Yep.
But an Element would still be a good choice for the Tesla, not for a battery fire because the lithium, but it still would be a good choice. So you could use it in any vehicle. It is really, and you've said this consistently the entire interview, it really depends on the fire, the size of the fire and what type of fire it is. But for kitchen, automotive, most cases, it's going to do something better than just give you hope. You're not going to have the concrete in the tank, the compression that you were talking about. It's going to give you a chance to get that fire out, and in most cases, it's going to work out for you. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, and we've been incredibly lucky with customers sharing with us save stories, and the stories are always quite similar. It's a fire.
That's going to make you feel good.
Got size to it.
Yeah,
but it's something that you can tackle and that you can take on. I know that, as an example, one of the questions that comes up fairly often with our extinguishers is people talk about, don't you have to get really close to the fire? And the truth is that yes, because we don't make thrust. Without thrust, you don't get distance.
Right.
So with a regular bottle, you can be further away. But you'd be amazed with a regular bottle, even if you're a little far away, it spreads out very, very quickly. So you have very little concentration coming out of it. So even with a regular bottle, you got to get pretty close. And what I tell anybody is any fire that you would reasonably want to approach, be near, or tackle, any handheld fire extinguisher, is one that you can get fairly close to. And so you shouldn't feel intimidated that you're going to have to get near the source of fire in order to put it out. If you can't get near it, it's too big.
Mm-hmm. So I don't like the imagery for this, but I think it's something worth saying. You could use this on somebody that was on fire. You could use the Element Fire to put them out. And it's
I'm going to tell you a terrible story.
Okay.
The extinguisher was originally designed for police, military, and special forces groups around the world. And the extinguisher that you get from us is the exact same unit that global special forces and police groups use. It's not a toned down version. That's the exact same unit. And we saw the value in turning it into a commercial product and making it available to the masses. Mm-hmm. But the development of this and everything took place in Italy. And so the Italians, the people that made it, traveled and spoke with many other nations and supplied it to their military and special forces. And I am not going to speak of which countries were involved in here, but they were dealing with a certain Middle Eastern country. And so the Middle Eastern country, they were dealing with the government of them. It involved a special forces group or whatever. And they ran a test where they lit somebody on fire.
No.
And they put them out with an element. And we're not talking about a stunt person. So the director of the company in Italy saw this on video and was horrified.
Of course.
And the person from this Middle Eastern country said, "Oh, don't worry, he's from a lower class."
Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm glad to know.
Like, you can use this video. It's like, we don't want to have anything to do with this video. I don't ever want to see it again. I don't want to tell anyone that it happened. But it was such a I guess a bit of a funny side story to tell of how different certain parts of the world are.
Yeah. So you quite literally, I mean, it's a fire. The stuff that comes out of the element is not dangerous to people. So you could use this. You could save somebody's life or at least a lot of pain by putting out a fire much quicker using this than many other ways. And in vehicles, especially in racing, you have to consider this because fires do occur in the cockpit. So I think it's worth noting that this may be more of a use than just saving your engine or saving your Jeep.
And then there is also, I mean, let's be reasonable as well. When somebody catches fire, in most instances, the best way to handle it is to throw a blanket on them, to jump on them, and roll around on the ground.
Yeah, wait 1 second. This is a perfect opportunity for me to use that new element I got. Just stand there and wait for me. I'll be right back. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, the story came out a little bit that, one of the things that gave us our big break was that we had the opportunity to be on the Jay Leno's YouTube channel. And a few years later, he had his incident where he was working on a steam car, and there was a very short, sudden flash fire, and he burned himself a little bit. It was on the news. Right. It was on the news quite a little bit.
It was right about the same. It was right about the same time that we did our interview, the first interview.
Yeah, and when a few people contact us and said, "Hey, how come they didn't use their element?" Look, that was a flash fire. Someone from across the room jumped on him, patted it out. It was out in a couple of seconds. Minor burns. Sometimes you need to go for the practical response.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely fast is absolutely the best. But if you have an element fire right there and it's a vehicle fire and you have time, it certainly makes sense. Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. I was working towards that. I was thinking this is going to be a horrible segue. We're talking about people on fire, and I'm going to talk about Jay Leno. So a funny thing happened, and you were involved in it after it happened. I actually apologized to you because I didn't want to put you in a bad light with Jay Leno. But we spoke about Jay Leno and about you being on his YouTube channel. What is the name of that show? I'm brain farting on it. Jay Leno's Garage, isn't it?
Yep, Jay Leno's Garage.
Yeah. So, and you were on there, and you got to show off the Element Fire. He was very nice and gave you guys a really good plug on his show. And then our interview came out, and then I think it was about the same time that Jay Leno was in that flash fire. So I saw an opportunity to use Jay Leno's image on the thumbnail, kind of like clickbait, but this wasn't clickbait. We actually spoke about Jay Leno on that episode. Maybe not fair to you guys because it wasn't about, the whole episode wasn't about Jay Leno. It was about the Element Fire, but there was a tie-in. And I thought, hey, we'll get a few more views on a few more listens on the show. And I put a fire in the background because it's an element fire, not because Jay was on fire. And I got contacted. I think it was the producer of Jay Leno's Garage contacted me through social media and said, "Hey man, that's not cool." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's not meant to put Jay on fire or anything." And anyway, we worked it out, and it was really cool. I guess it was kind of it's kind of bad if I was doing something wrong. It was kind of bad to have that interaction with the producer, director, whatever he is, Jay Leno's Garage. But it was cool. it was neat. It was like I had some contact with, Jay Leno, not indirectly, So, but that was funny. And I was afraid that might put you and Element Fire in a bad light with Jay Leno. But it was fine. I think you actually had some interaction. They reached out to you because it was your interview.
Yeah, as that happened, I got in, because the thing is, we're not in regular contact with them. Every once in a while, we'll get an email and they ask us for something. It's no problem.
Right.
But out of the blue, I get this email and they say, do you have anything to do with this? I don't. I had a look.
We want to know if you should be added to the lawsuit. Yeah.
No, it was all fixed. It was all fixed. But what it really showed, it highlighted, is how careful, Jay Leno's, the people that work in his little circle and that are to, protect his image and to look out for him, because they found this randomly somehow. They reached out to us. When they reached out to us, they were very kind, very professional. They didn't accuse us of anything. They're like, they ask first rather than accuse. I think it was all fixed in a couple of hours. No harm, no foul, and we all went on with our lives.
Yeah, no, it wasn't my intent to upset anybody or to get profit from Jay Leno's suffering. So Jay Leno's always seemed to be a nice guy, and I love hearing about people that celebrities and stuff that have entertained you. That you find out they're good people. That's kind of a bonus. So that was fun to hear about that. All right, Rob, you know how the kids love the social media. Are you guys on social media? Is that something that you guys do? I think you have to these days.
We do a little bit. In fact, we have someone who is a fraction of my age that handles a chunk of it at our office.
Right.
And on Instagram, we are at Official Element Fire. Facebook, the same, Official Element Fire, and Official Element Fire on YouTube. I don't think we do much in the way of Twitter and or X, I guess as it's called now, and TikTok. But
who knows if TikTok's going to be there for more than 90 days?
and the main piece of the main place where we try to have information and all that is our website, which is elementfire.com.
Very, very cool. Oh, and I think you mentioned you had a little something for our viewers here on YouTube about getting a discount or a fire blanket or something.
Well, for anybody that wants to purchase a product to be part of the Jeep Talk Show, we've created the coupon code, which is JTS10, and that'll give you 10% off of your order, and any order over $99 ships for free. We also ship all throughout North America. Orders that go to the United States, the price you see is the final price delivered to your door. There are no additional duties or taxes, nor should there be 25% duties of any kind, as has been threatened lately.
And that was JTS 10, just like Jeep Talk Show. The initials Jeep Talk Show JTS 10. And this works on the elementfire.com website, right?
Yep. If you go to elementfire.com, it'll work there, and it'll work there until May 31st, 2025.
Very, very nice. Is EJS, do you even know what EJS is? Is that in your future?
EJS.
Easter Jeep Safari. Talk to your Jeep guy there.
Okay.
He might want to go, I would love to go to EJS. They actually have a vendor show out there on Thursday and Friday at EJS. It's a week-long event in Moab, Utah. Absolutely beautiful place to go. And Easter Jeep Safari is kind of like one of the mecca things to do with a Jeep. And you can go out there in a stock Jeep. You didn't even have to be a modified Jeep. So it might not be too late for you guys to look at having your booth out there at the vendor show.
When is it?
It is we were just talking about this. Don't quote me on this. You can just look up EJS or Easter Jeep Safari online, but I think it is the last week of April. Somebody's screaming at me saying no, but I think it's the last
around that time of year.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys actually should be there. Actually, you could, and I'm not saying that you'll do this, but you could actually pay for him to go drive out there in his Jeep, and Thursday and Friday he has to be in the booth selling Element Fires.
Don't tempt the guys in our office. They'll do that.
Oh yeah. All right, Rob, thanks very much. A very interesting product. I was really happy to find out about it on our first interview. I think it's a wonderful thing to have. And I'm just going to say Murphy's Law kind of dictates you need to have 2 of these in your Jeep, because you're going to use it on somebody else's Jeep. You're going to see somebody on fire, and it may not be a Jeep. You're going to see somebody else on fire on the road or whatever, and you're going to make use of it. And then you're going to be sitting there going, now I don't have one. I don't have one for me. So get 2 and just save yourself some time. Real quick, what's the difference between the 50 and the 100? The other one's the 100, right?
Yeah, so the one has a what's rated as a 50-second discharge. It tends to average 50 to 60 seconds. Mm-hmm. I've never seen one run for less than 50, so we're conservative on our number. But one's a 50-second discharge. The other one is a 100-second.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And the reason, and also to explain a little bit further, both extinguishers are essentially of the same power, but it's a longer discharge time. So as we tell people, imagine 2 identical cars, and one has a gas tank that's twice as big as the other. It's not any faster, but it can go further. And then sometimes that extra bit of time is all you need.
Yep. So if you're a Texan like me, you need to get the 100, the E100, Element E100, because everything's bigger in Texas. There we go. Rob, thank you very much.
I will say one last thing, actually.
Sure.
And that is that you talked about socials and all that stuff, and we do a bit of advertising on Instagram and Facebook. But I'll use the opportunity to just warn people a little bit that there is 2 or 3 fake accounts out there that have essentially grabbed all of our marketing materials and created fake websites, fake everything, selling the product at a fraction of the price of what we normally sell it for, well below our manufacturing cost. And those are 100% scams. You want to be very, very careful. If you see a price that's too good to be true, you are not receiving a copy. You are getting your credit card information stolen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the way to be 100% sure is elementfire.com. That is us. It's the manufacturer. And if it's any other combination, anything that looks a little weird, because it's not even close. It doesn't even have element in the name. You would just want to check your URL to make sure it's elementfire.com, and you're getting the real thing from the manufacturer. We also keep a lot of stock. We ship every single day. So you're not waiting weeks also for your product.
Very good. And that's the way you made it in social media. So when people start making fake accounts, copying you.
I was once told that in video games, you're going in the right direction when people are shooting at you. So hopefully we're doing something okay.
Oh, I think you guys have a great
I guess
product.
one of the things that we didn't talk a little bit about, and it is loosely tied to Jeep, is that we recently became an approved vendor for Mopar.
Oh, nice.
Mopar
JPP. Yeah.
Parts catalogs, yes. And so, we have a Mopar part number and available to Mopar. They went through quite a long and rigorous vetting process, but we're even closer to the Jeep family now than we've ever been.
I think it's a great idea. And the Jeep Performance products, the Mopar thing, that means you can actually get the Element Fire at the dealership. So when you're ordering your Jeep, you can actually get it with an Element Fire. If I'm saying that correctly, I know for the other parts they sell, you can do that.
You're right. It is through Mopar. The only thing is that I would say that if you go to most Mopar dealers, they haven't quite communicated as well as they can.
They have a lot of products.
They do have a
Jeep Performance Products has a lot of products, and they're adding them all the time. It's funny. I don't think Chris would mind me talking about this. There's a product called G-Tops. Actually, your employee there might be interested in this. There's this thing called G-Tops where Chris from G-Tops takes your Freedom panels, cuts out a hole, and puts in a piece of plastic. And it's not just a piece of plastic. This is top-notch stuff. I've got a set of them on my Gladiator. And I had them when I went out to Moab, Easter Jeep Safari last year. So not only can you see out through the window, through the side windows, you can also see up. And so he actually modifies the Freedom panels and the back. And he is talking to Jeep Performance Products right now as being a Mopar supplier. That's how I even know about it, because I talked to Chris quite a bit about getting out there. So you're able, yeah, it really is. And it's, and the way I look at it is that I don't have to take the tops off. My wife doesn't have to fold anything back, to be able to see out the top. You can always see out the top. You don't have to worry about rain, snow, hail, anything. You just look up. It's a wonderful product. And cool. Yeah, your buddy might like that. So absolutely. All right. Great conversation. I told you 30 to 45 minutes, unless we got on a roll. We got on a roll, because we're well over that. So Rob, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for making time for us, and good luck on your product, if in fact you need it. I think it's one of those products that people just need to have, and they just need to know about it. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on here, so people know about that product. And with the mounts that you guys have now, there's absolutely no reason. Just get a fire, get an Element, get a mount, and put it in your Jeep.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm looking to a little bit more off-road time myself this year.
Oh, I think you'll have a lot of fun, especially if you ever get out to Moab. It's beautiful out there.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.